Good morning. Welcome everybody to Sonoma Mountain. Welcome everybody online for joining. Very grateful everybody showed up this morning. As I was driving up the mountain, I had my windows down, such a warm day. I'm thinking, man, everybody's probably gonna choose to do something else than come sit Souza and listen to my talk this morning. So I'm very grateful that everybody's here. It's great to see everybody, some new faces, some familiar. My name is Shindo. I was ordained as a priest last February. I've been practicing here at Sonoma Mountain Zen Center for 16 years. I was raised in Lowell, Massachusetts, just city about 30 miles north of Boston. Raised Catholic. Went to Catholic school for 9 years. Was an altar boy. And in 2007, when my son was born, I found Zen. I was living in Tempe, Arizona, and under a Rinzai sitting group or Sangha in Tempe, I started sitting with them. And in 2008, I relocated up into the Bay Area. Up to Carson City, and was coming over about every weekend or so, every other weekend from Carson, Tahoe, to Sonoma Mountain, and I've been practicing here ever since. I currently live in Walnut Creek. I was living in Berkeley for the past 12 years. I live with my wife, my son who will be 17 June 1st, who recently just got his driver's license and a car over the past 2 weeks. So it's been a very interesting time in my life right now. A lot of things are changing, a lot of new stresses, worries. He's just kind of coming and going as he pleases, and we were on a set schedule for so many years of me having to pick him up and drop him off. Now just comes over when he wants, and he leaves when he wants, and I guess it's just all part of it. But I'm very proud of him. He's a really great kid. It's been interesting. Work's been hectic. I started a new position earlier in the year at work. I'm traveling a lot, and it's just been a very busy, interesting time in my life recently. I also serve as the membership chair here at Sonoma Mountain. So if there's anybody that is not yet a member that is interested in talking or just learning more, feel free to grab me at lunch and we can talk and I can share some information. So I've been, the past couple of weeks, I was just, trying to prepare what to talk about. And I think the best thing for me is just to talk about Zazen. It's always best for me to, when I get too busy, when there's a lot going on, is to just come back to the basics, to posture, to breathing. The study group with Suzuki Roshi's Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, there's always a great kind of coming back for me, because that's the book that really got me interested in Zen. And each time I read it, I find something new. There's always a new nugget in there that I can take that I might have read over before, or it just didn't hit me the same way it did on the first time or second time or third time around. So a lot of what I may be saying today, you may already know, but it's good to sometimes hear it again, and as you sit, just kind of just listen and check posture and hopefully you can take a few nuggets today from my talk. I'm going to be talking about Dogen's Fukan Zazengi, or the universal promotion of the principles of Zazen. It's Dogen's essay describing and promoting Zazen. The original version is one of Dogen's earliest works, probably second to Bandolo. The date of the composition is unclear. It's believed to be written around 1233. The text evolved significantly over the author's lifetime. It first appeared in the Eihei Koroku, or Dogen's extensive record, a 10-volume collection of works consisting of discourses he gave to the assembly from over a 20-year span. It was later added as an appendix to the Shobo Genzo in most of the translations that we see today. I'm also going to be sharing teachings from my teacher, Jakusho Kwong-roshi. And as I'm talking, I would recommend maybe just checking posture and check your back and just kind of listen. Even if you had Zazen instruction this morning, it's good to come back to. For the practice of Zen, a quiet room is suitable. Eat and drink moderately. Cast aside all involvements and cease all affairs. Do not think good, do not think bad. Do not administer pros and cons. Cease all the movements of the conscious mind, the gauging of all thoughts and views. At the place where you regularly sit, spread out a layer of thick matting and place a cushion on it. For the full lotus position, place your right foot on your left thigh and your left foot on your right thigh. Cross your legs so that the tips of your toes and the outer edge of your thighs form a single line. Half lotus, simply place your left foot on your right thigh. When you cross your legs, your knees and the base of your spine should form an equilateral triangle. These 3 points support the weight of your body. For the full lotus position, the order of crossing of the legs may be reversed, and in the half lotus position, raising the opposite leg is acceptable as well. The Burmese position for sitting cross-legged provides good stability for Zazen. If you are not able to sit in the full or half lotus, in this posture, seat yourself on your zafu in the usual way, cross your legs with the left leg and foot on the floor, tucked against your right inner thigh. The left leg is then folded outside the right, also supported by the floor. The order of crossing the legs may be reversed. In any seated position you choose, it is important that your knees are touching the ground. This will give you the stability and allow you to sit longer periods more comfortably. Souza allows you to form a seated triangle with your knees in the base of your spine, but the center of gravity is a bit higher than sitting in full or half lotus. Sit on a Souza bench with your legs folded under the bench, knees firmly on the zabuton. You can also support yourself by sitting on a firm zafu instead of a bench. Souza, half lotus, and Burmese are all 3 positions that I've been working on. Sometimes just a different position for a different period of Zazen is enough to give relief to the knees for longer days of sitting. For chair sitting, typically if we sit in a chair in our everyday life, we let our body lean against its back. Zazen requires a slightly different posture. You should be sitting on the front half of the seat with your back away from the backrest. Relax your body, take a few breaths and settle in. The important point is to sit in the right posture and breathe in the right manner. Stabilize the part of your body below the waist and relax the upper. Stay flexible without tension. Pay attention to the position of your feet while also visualizing your sit bones and spine. Whatever position that you choose, sitting in a chair, full lotus, half lotus, Burmese, or kneeling with a cushion or a bench, it should be a position that you can comfortably hold for 30 minutes. Ideally, you should not try to change your position more than once in a period of Zazen. If you do find yourself having to adjust multiple times, you may want to try another position. Once we're seated, we roll our hips slightly forward, allowing our belly to relax and our breath to move freely. Center your spine by gently swaying from left to right and decreasing arcs. Push the crown of your head towards the ceiling, straightening and extending your spine. Then relax your shoulders. Lips and teeth should be gently closed. Tip of the tongue in the upper part is on the upper part of the roof of the mouth, and gently against the back of your front teeth. Swallow and suck the saliva from your mouth, creating a vacuum. When the tongue remains in this area, it naturally keeps your mouth moist while you sit. Nose, navel, the three condyles all in a straight line with the lengthening of your spine. The lengthening goes to the crown of your head, as if the crown of your head is supporting the sky. Your gaze should be about the same distance horizontally as your eyes are vertical. So it's about 3 feet from the floor to my eyes. That's how far my gaze should be. You can also lean forward and stretch out your arms as far as they go, and that should be about the same distance. Just look straight ahead and drop your eyes, not the chin. The eyes are half closed, not closed fully, just half. When they're half closed, it keeps the light inward. We're not looking out and grasping or losing our energy. When they're half closed, we see just enough to keep us from being distracted, and the light is going back in, almost like the shade of a lamp. It increases the light towards yourself. Our eyes gaze downward at an angle or a point on the floor. If there is a wall there, look as if you were seeing through the wall. Your body should be relaxed and soft. First, place your hands in the cosmic mudra. Left hand on top of the right, palms up with the tip of the thumbs lightly touching, forming a wide oval. Hands can touch on lap, thighs, or lower abdomen, where they do not create a stress on your arms. But we want to hold the mudra. We do not want to be lazy with it. Oftentimes when my thoughts are racing, I will notice my mudra has collapsed. A strong mudra represents a strong mind. For breathing, we are breathing through our mudra. The mudra is our primordial nose, and the nose is our second nose. And by breathing this way, we are unifying our whole body, the top and the bottom. Many people only breathe with their chest, but in fact, you can breathe through your whole body, all 84,000 pores. When you breathe through the mudra, you are breathing with the entire body. We breathe from both points, the nose and the tanden. In the nose, in through the nose, and out through the nose. Breathing in through the nose, letting the air fill your lower abdomen as if it were a balloon, and then gently releasing it with a slow, deep out breath. In and out. In and out. Right under your chin, there is tension, forcing the air to come from a large stream to a fine stream of air. When this type of breathing happens, it cuts through our delusions, greed, hatred, and ignorance. It cuts through our thinking mind, which is the obstacle. Once the obstacle is cut through on the exhalation breath, that's our strength breath, the breath of letting go, of compassion and forgiveness. There's a lot going on there. That's when this form expires into emptiness. It's all in the breath. Because it cuts through all of your delusions and obstacles. You have a glimpse of your original nature. Not only do you experience your own original nature, you experience the original nature in each and everything that you see. Your demeanor changes, your relationship changes with yourself, with other people, with sentient and non-sentient beings. Because you are aware of the same basic nature that exists everywhere. Everywhere you go, you encounter the self. Suzuki Roshi describes the throat like a swinging door. And pretty soon there is no inside or outside, meaning that there is no self. The sound of your breath becomes like the wind, and the breath sweeps the mind. When your breathing is being practiced as we described, one's mind is calm, quiet, peaceful, clear, and serene. It is functioning perfectly. There are times when our mind is restless. This is a reflection of your breathing not being practiced, as we talked about. Always come back to the breath. One technique is breath counting. Count 1 on the in breath, 2 on the out breath, 3 on the in, 4 on the out, and so on, up to 10. And then begin at 1 again. If it's more comfortable, you may count the out breaths and only follow the in breath without the counting. If a thought causes you to stray from the counting, just notice when that happens, return and focus on your breath, and then begin to count starting at 1 again. Shikantaza, or just sitting, is a formless meditation. Maybe a little more advanced than breath counting, because to remain in that kind of samadhi for a long time can be very difficult. You can put your mind in your mudra or in your spine if you are slouching. Again, a collapsed mudra or bad posture are usually signs of a distracted mind for me. When we are finished, we bow after the bell. There's kinhin. After the second bell, we turn clockwise with our legs crossed. We plump up our cushions and straighten the strings on our zabuton. Stand up slowly, bow to our cushion, turn clockwise, and bow to the person across me. This next section is from a lecture given by Suzuki Roshi on August 12, 1965 on posture. I want to take time to explain about the posture that we take. When you sit, your left foot is on your right side and your right foot is on your left side. This is the full lotus posture. When we cross our legs like this, although we have a right and left foot, it actually becomes one. So it means oneness of the duality. Not two and not one. This is the most important teaching. Not two and not one. Our body and mind is not two and not one. If you think our body and mind is two, that is wrong. If you think your body and mind is one, that is also wrong. Because our mind and body are two and one. We call it oneness of our duality. Usually, if it is not one, it is two or four. If it is not singular, it is plural. If it is not plural, it is singular. But in actual experience of life, our life is not plural, not only plural, but also singular. Each one of us are independent and dependent. After some years, we will die. That will be the end of our life. But if we just think that the end of our life, that is the end of our life, that is wrong understanding. And if we think we do not die, that is also wrong understanding. We die and we do not die. That is right understanding. Some people may say our mind or our soul exists forever, but my physical body today will die. But this is not exactly right, because both mind and body have their end, and at the same time, it is eternal existence. And even though we say mind and body, it is actually two sides of one coin. That is right understanding. So when we take this posture, it symbolizes this truth. Here, I have my left foot on my right side of my body and the right foot on the left side of my body. So I don't know which side it is. This is the left side, and this is the right side. When we cross our legs like this, or when we cross our hands like this, we form a cosmic mudra. Your middle finger comes to here, and it should not be like this or this. So he's demonstrating cosmic mudra. We call it the cosmic mudra. We have many mudras symbolizing this teaching. This is one of the mudras. And your ears and shoulder are on one line. It means to keep your back straight and your spine straight. And you pull down on your shoulders. In this way, you will have good circulation on your back. If you try to keep this posture, you will find some difficulty in your natural breathing. But by the time you get accustomed to the right posture, you can take the natural deep breathing. Pull your chin in. This is a very important point. If you sit in this way with your head tilted up, you'll never gain strength in your posture. It's a rather dreamy posture. You're usually dreaming of something. The most important point is to own your physical body. If you take this posture, if you're slumping over, you will lose your body. Your body is somewhere else, and your mind as well. Your mind and the body are wandering elsewhere. This is not the way. So your posture should not be leaned over backward. You should be straight. You should not be this way or any other way. You should be straight. Our spine should be vertical. This is not just form. It expresses the key point of Buddhism. If you understand this key point, if you want to understand truly, really, we should follow this practice. Those forms are not the means of obtaining the right state of mind. To take this posture itself is our purpose or practice. It is not some means of obtaining some special state of mind. When you have this posture, you have the right state of mind. So there's no need to obtain something special, some other state of mind. This point is also very important. When you try to attain something, your mind starts wandering about somewhere else. If you try to attain, your mind will start wandering and your mind isn't there. So try not to attain something. When you do not try to attain something, you have your body and your mind. A Zen master will say, kill the Buddha. Kill the Buddha if the Buddha exists somewhere else. Kill the Buddha because you should resume your own Buddha nature. If the Buddha exists somewhere else, kill the Buddha. Don't see the Buddha. To do something is to express our nature. We do not exist by means of or for the sake of something. We exist for the sake of ourselves. And this fundamental teaching will be expressed in various ways. When we stand, we have some rules, but this rule is not, each one of us has our own way of standing. Strictly speaking, so we measure how we stand by our body. This is our own body measurement. When you want to know how you stand up, we measure here by the feet and from here to your head. And our body is always the same posture you take in Zazen. You put some strength in your diaphragm, in your abdomen. You hold your thumb inside your hand. You feel as if you have some round pillar here. A round, big temple pillar, so you cannot be like swaying if you're holding your mudra in the center of your chest. Take this posture so there is no need to talk about the right state of mind. You have the right state of mind. And when you bow, strictly speaking, your right knee goes down first, and then your left. I just want to say that your posture is very important. Try to always be in the right posture, not only when you practice Zazen. Even as you're driving, I want you to take the right posture. When you read, if you read in this posture, if you're slumping, you cannot stay awake too long. Try it. You'll find how important it is to take the right posture. And that is the teaching. The teaching which is written on the paper is not true teaching. That is a kind of food for your brain, not for yourself. It is necessary to take some food for your brain, but the most important thing is to be yourself by the right way of life. That is why Buddha could not accept the religion before Buddha. He tried various religions. He studied many religions, but he could not be satisfied with philosophy. He just wasn't satisfied with the asceticism until he found out the right understanding of life and the right practice of religious life. He was not interested in some metaphysical existence. When he found this out, he himself found out that everything that exists has Buddha nature. This was his enlightenment. Enlightenment is not some good feeling or a particular state of mind. You must believe in the state of mind when you sit in this posture is itself enlightenment. If you cannot satisfy the state of mind you have in your sitting posture, It means that your mind is wandering about. Our mind and our body should not be wandering about. What we call I is just a swinging door which moves when we inhale and when we exhale. When we practice Zazen, our mind always follows our breathing. When we inhale, the air comes into the inner world. When we exhale, the air goes out to the outer world. The inner world is limitless. The outer world is also limitless. We say inner world or outer world, but actually there is just one whole world. In this limitless world, our throat is like a swinging door. The air comes in and goes out like someone passing through a swinging door. If you think I breathe, the I is extra. There's no need to say I. What we call I is just a swinging door which moves when we inhale and when we exhale. It just moves, that is all. When your mind is pure and calm enough to follow this movement, there is nothing. There is no I, there's no world, no mind, no body, just a swinging door. So when we practice Zazen, all that exists is the movement of breathing. But we are aware of this movement. You should not be absent-minded. But to be aware of the movement does not mean to be aware of your small self, but rather of your universal nature or your Buddha nature. This kind of awareness is very important because we are usually so one-sided. Our usual understanding of life is dualistic. You and I, this and that, good and bad. But actually, these discriminations are themselves the awareness of the universal existence. You means to be aware of the universe in the form of you, and I means to be aware of it in the form of I. You and I are just swinging doors. This kind of understanding is necessary. This should not even be called understanding. It is actually the true experience of life through Zen practice. So when you practice Zazen, there's no idea of time or space. You may say that we started sitting at 5:45 in the room. Thus you have some idea of time, 5:45, and some idea of space in this room. Actually, what you are doing, however, is just sitting and being aware of the universal activity. That is all. This moment, the swinging door is opening in one direction, and the next moment, the swinging door will be opening in the opposite direction. Moment after moment, each one of us repeats this activity. Here, there is no idea of space or time. Time and space are one. You may say, I must do something this afternoon, but actually, there is no this afternoon. We do things one after the other, that is all. There is no such time as this afternoon, or 1 o'clock, or 2 o'clock. At 1 o'clock, you will eat your lunch. To eat lunch itself is 1 o'clock. You will be somewhere, but that place cannot be separated from 1 o'clock. For someone who actually appreciates our life, they are the same. But when we become tired of our life, we may say, I shouldn't have come to this place. It may have been much better to go someplace else to have something better for lunch. This place isn't so good. In your mind, you create an idea of a place separate from an actual time. Or you may say, this is bad, so I should not do this. Actually, when you say, I should not do this, you are doing not doing in that moment. So there is no choice for you. When you separate the idea of time and space, you feel as if you have some choice. But actually, you have to do something. You have to do not doing. Not to do something is doing something. Good and bad are only in your mind. So we should not say this is good or this is bad. Instead of saying bad, you should say not to do. If you think this is bad, it will create some confusion for you. So in the realm of pure religion, there is no confusion of time and space, or good or bad. All that we should do is just do something as it comes. Do something. Whatever it is, we should do it, even if it is not doing something. We should live in this moment. So when we sit, we concentrate on our breathing, and we become a swinging door. And we do something we should do, something we must do. This is Zen practice. In this practice, there's no confusion. If you establish this kind of life, you have no confusion whatsoever. Souza, a famous Zen master, said, "The blue mountain is the father of the white cloud. The white cloud is the son of the blue mountain. All day long they depend on each other, without being dependent on each other. The white cloud is always the white cloud. The blue mountain is always the blue mountain." This is a pure, clear interpretation of life. There may be many things like the white cloud and the blue mountain, man and woman, teacher and disciple. They depend on each other, but the white cloud should not be bothered by the blue mountain. The blue mountain should not be bothered by the white cloud. They're quite independent, but yet dependent. This is how we live, and this is how we practice Zazen. When we become truly ourselves, we just become a swinging door and are purely independent of, and at the same time, dependent upon everything. Without air, we cannot breathe. Each one of us is in the midst of myriads of worlds. We are in the center of the world always, moment after moment. So we are completely dependent and independent. If you have this kind of experience, this kind of existence, you have absolute independence. You will not be bothered by anything. So when you practice Zazen, your mind should be concentrated on your breathing. This kind of activity is the fundamental activity of the universal being. Without this experience, without this practice, it is impossible to attain absolute freedom.